Attention gun owners. Starting June 2026, one court shift could turn a legal carry into charges. Last Thursday, a 72-year-old named Thomas in Denver got a sheriff's voicemail. It claimed his permit paperwork was no longer valid and demanded $3,480 fast. He stared at his holster like it was suddenly illegal, even inside his home. His chest felt tight because one mistake can cost your freedom and savings. Here's what separates people who protect their rights from people who lose them. You're watching this video, which is good, and it means you care. But if you're not subscribed, you'll miss the next update that matters. Laws can change quietly, and you won't get a warning before trouble starts. Fix that now and subscribe so you don't get caught off guard. A major Supreme Court ruling just changed how gun laws get judged, not by opinions, not by public safety speeches, but by early American history. That sounds confusing, but it's actually a simple question with big impact. Did a similar restriction exist when the right to bear arms was understood? If the answer is no, that restriction may not survive the next lawsuit. For years, judges used different tests to weigh gun rules. Some judges used weak balancing that let almost any restriction pass. Others demanded stronger proof before the government could limit your rights. So your legal reality depended on which court happened to hear your case. That patchwork is what made normal people feel trapped and uncertain. Now the new approach tells courts to stop guessing and start comparing history. The government can't just say, "Trust us, this makes things safer." They have to show a real historical pattern that matches the modern rule. Not a vague idea, but a close cousin from the nation's early years. That's a higher bar, and many modern limits may not clear it. But don't hear that and assume every rule disappears overnight. Some restrictions will likely stay, especially for violent criminals in courtrooms. The change is about proof, not about chaos, and that's important. States can still regulate, but they must justify the rule with history. And if they can't, that rule becomes a target for serious challenges. Here's where fear comes in, and you need to hear it clearly. Even if a rule looks weak, it can still be enforced today. A prosecutor doesn't have to wait for a future case to charge you. Police don't pause an arrest because you believe a rule will fall later. So if you test a law, you might become the example in handcuffs. A lot of people will hear new standard and relax too soon. They'll carry somewhere restricted, thinking the rule is doomed anyway. That's the trap, because court battles take months, sometimes longer. During that time, the old rule stays on the books in many places, and your life can be wrecked long before a judge issues a final opinion. Let me tell you about Patricia. She's 71 years old and lives in Seattle, Washington. She keeps a small pistol for home defense and walks her dog at dawn. One Monday, her neighbor warned her about a new restricted zone map. The map claimed the area near a community center meant a $2,115 penalty. That afternoon, Patricia called the city office to confirm the boundary lines. The clerk sounded unsure and told her to just avoid carrying anywhere nearby. She felt her stomach drop because the area covered her only walking route. She tried searching online, but every page contradicted the next page. Then a friend said police were making examples to scare people into compliance. A week later, she got stopped for a broken taillight after grocery shopping. The officer asked if she had any weapons, and her voice shook, saying yes. He treated her like she confessed to a crime, even though she had a permit. He mentioned a local rule about designated gathering areas and wrote everything down. Patricia spent $4,760 on an attorney just to avoid a worse charge. She couldn't sleep because she pictured losing her right forever. Her lawyer didn't promise miracles, but he gave her a safer plan. He told her to follow current rules while tracking which ones get challenged. He helped her document the unclear map, the clerk call, and the stop. That paper trail mattered when the city later clarified the zone in writing. Patricia kept carrying legally, but only after spending $685 on updated training. Now she tells friends, don't guess, because guessing is expensive. Quick pause. What state are you watching from right now, and why does it matter? Laws differ by state, and I need to know where my viewers live. Your comment also helps this video reach people who need it today. Drop your state name below, and I'll know what updates to cover next. Here's what frustrates me, and it should frustrate you too. Some officials will act like the new court standard doesn't apply to them. They'll keep pushing broad bans and vague zones, hoping you won't fight. They're betting you can't afford a lawyer, time off work, and stress. That gamble isn't about safety, it's about power and quiet compliance. This makes me angry because the rules aren't always written clearly. You can read a statute and still not know how it's enforced. One county posts one sign, another county posts a different sign, then an officer interprets it differently, and your day turns into a crisis. Rights don't feel like rights when the boundaries move without warning. The new history-based test also puts pressure on older restrictions. Some rules have been around for years and they feel permanent, but old doesn't always mean historically grounded under this new approach. So groups will challenge magazine limits, waiting periods, and registration rules. That's where the system will heat up, and you'll see messy transitions. Concealed carry permits are one area where you may see fast changes. Some states used to deny permits using vague reasons and broad discretion. Now courts are less likely to accept "we just don't like it" decisions. States may still require training, background checks, and proper paperwork, but denial standards may need to be objective, not based on favoritism. If you've been denied before, you might think you should reapply tomorrow. That could help, but only if you do it the right way. A rushed application with missing details can become a permanent headache, and an angry letter can be used against you if it sounds threatening. You want calm, clean documentation because documentation can protect your future. Let me tell you about William. He's 74 years old and lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. He applied for a carry permit after a string of break-ins nearby. 2 months later, he got a denial letter with no clear explanation. His appeal window was short, and his attorney quoted $6,240 to fight it. William felt insulted because he'd never been arrested or even cited. He called the permit office, and they told him to try again next year. That answer made him furious, because your rights shouldn't require begging. He started posting online, but strangers argued and gave risky advice. Then he realized anger doesn't fix paperwork, and paperwork is what matters. A week later, he requested his full file and asked for written reasons. The office stalled, and he kept a log of dates and names. He spent $412 on certified mail and copies to prove every request. Then the office offered a voluntary withdrawal instead of a formal denial. That sounded harmless, but it could hide the real reason forever. He had 10 business days to decide, and the clock felt brutal. William hired a different lawyer for a limited review, not a full fight. That cost $1,180. And it saved him from signing a bad withdrawal. He resubmitted with corrected forms, a clean training record, and clear references. This time the permit was approved, and he avoided a long court battle. He says the real win was learning how to stay calm and strategic, and you should learn that now, before you need it, real quick. If you're getting value from this, hit the like button right now. The algorithm pushes videos with strong like ratios to more people. That means more gun owners get warnings before they make a costly mistake. It takes 2 seconds, and it helps this message reach the right people. Now let's talk about sensitive places, because that's a minefield. Some locations can still be restricted, like courthouses and secure government areas. But some states will try to stretch sensitive into half the city. They may label parks, libraries, medical offices, and even sidewalks as off-limits. Under the new test, they might need stronger historical proof for those expansions. Still, you can't treat that like a free pass to ignore posted rules. If a sign is backed by law in your area, it can matter today. Even a weak law can create real charges until a court knocks it down. So the smart move is to avoid becoming the person used as leverage. You can defend rights without volunteering for disaster. Another overlooked issue is travel and reciprocity between states. You might be fully legal at home and illegal after crossing one border. The new court approach doesn't automatically make every permit valid everywhere, so you must check each state's rules before you drive or fly. One wrong assumption can turn a vacation into a legal nightmare. Civil lawsuits are another threat most people don't think about. Even if you're not charged criminally, you can still be sued. A plaintiff's lawyer may claim you violated a carry restriction or storage rule. If that rule later collapses under the new test, your civil exposure may change, but you can't count on later because court timelines don't match real life. Let me tell you about Nancy. She's 69 years old and lives in Austin, Texas. She travels to visit her sister and often drives across several states. Last fall, she planned a road trip and assumed her permit covered her. A friend warned her about a local rule, and the fine was $5,375. Nancy felt confused because every website gave different guidance. She called a state hotline and waited on hold for 43 minutes. The person who answered wouldn't give clear answers, only check local statutes. That made her anxious because statutes aren't written for normal people. She almost canceled the trip, even though family time mattered to her. Then she stopped at a rest area and saw signs that seemed threatening. She panicked, locked her firearm in a case, and drove faster than usual. Later, she learned that one county treated rest areas like restricted government property. Her hotel also had a policy that could trigger trespass if ignored. She spent $329 on a travel legal guide and still felt uncertain. She had 3 days left before departure, and stress ruined her sleep. Nancy built a safer travel plan instead of relying on hope. She checked official state resources, called the hotel, and wrote down names. She planned alternate routes and stored her gear according to each state's rules. She still took the trip, and she avoided becoming a headline. Now she shares a simple lesson: travel rules punish confidence without homework. And that's even more true during legal changes like these. Think of someone who needs this information today: your parent, sibling, friend, neighbor, or the guy at your local range. Someone who could lose money or freedom without understanding this shift. Share this video with them now, and don't wait until you forget. Text the link right now, because one conversation can prevent a disaster. Now we move into hope, because you're not powerless here. The new court approach can create opportunities for clearer and fairer rules. It can also force governments to stop treating rights like optional privileges. But hope only helps you if you stay informed and act carefully. So let's talk about what you can do without risking your future. First, you should assume confusion will increase before it decreases. Some states will rewrite rules quickly, and others will resist quietly. Courts will issue mixed decisions, and news headlines will oversimplify everything. That means you need a system, not a guess, to stay current. A simple plan beats panic every time. Second, keep your behavior boring from a legal perspective. Don't argue roadside, don't lecture officers, and don't make sudden moves. If you're asked questions, keep answers short and respectful. If something feels wrong, you can handle it later with an attorney. Winning a moment isn't worth losing your case. Third, invest in documentation like it's insurance for your rights. Save permit emails, training certificates, receipts, and any denial letters. If you call an office, write down the date, time, and the name. If rules change, keep screenshots of official pages that show the change. Those details can matter if a dispute happens later. Let me tell you about Richard. He's 76 years old and lives in Indianapolis, Indiana. He bought a firearm after retirement and took training seriously. One day, his county website posted a new carry policy without clear wording. He printed the page, saved the link, and noted the date immediately. 2 weeks later, a different version of the page replaced the first one. His friend said, "They never posted that," and Richard calmly showed the printout. That moment mattered because a local official claimed the rule had always existed. Richard didn't argue, he just asked for the official policy in writing. He felt steady because he had proof instead of opinions. Later, he attended a public meeting and asked clear, respectful questions. He recorded the answers legally and saved the meeting minutes when posted. A month after that, the county softened the policy wording significantly. Richard didn't file a lawsuit, but his preparation helped change the conversation. He spent $47 on printing and folders, and it saved months of stress. That's what smart looks like when laws are shifting under your feet. Now you're in the empowerment phase, and this is the key. You don't need to be a lawyer to make better choices. You just need repeatable steps that reduce risk and increase clarity. If you do the basics, you'll avoid most gotcha situations. So listen closely, because the next part is your practical playbook. Here's exactly what you need to do. I'm giving you 5 steps, and each step is simple and specific. You don't need to do everything today, but start with step 1 this week. Write these down or pause and take notes in your phone. You're building a safety net for your rights, your money, and your family. Ready to begin so you can stay calm while everyone else panics? Step 1. Look up your state's current carry and location rules using official sources. Use your state police site or your state attorney general's public guidance page. Don't rely on a forum post because strangers won't pay your legal bills. When you read a rule, screenshot it and save the link immediately. If you call for clarification, ask, "Can you send that answer in writing?" Do this by Friday because changes can drop without warning during court waves. Step 2. Audit your permits, training records, and purchase documents like you're preparing evidence. Make a folder, paper, or digital, and put every firearm-related record inside. Include serial numbers, receipts, class certificates, and renewal reminders for each permit. If you move, update addresses fast because wrong address creates missed notices. If you've been denied, keep that letter because it can matter later. Give yourself 7 days because rushed organizing leads to missing critical pieces. Step 3. Create a travel checklist before crossing state lines with any firearm. Check reciprocity maps from official state sites, not just a random app. Call your destination hotel and ask about their policy, then write down the answer. If you need to store in your vehicle, follow that state's storage requirements exactly. When in doubt, store safely and avoid restricted zones, even if rules seem shaky. Do this before you pack, because "I didn't know" won't protect you later. Step 4. If you face a denial, restriction, or confusing enforcement, document everything calmly. Write a timeline with dates, times, names, and exact words you remember. Request decisions in writing and use certified mail when deadlines matter. When you speak, say, "I'm requesting the policy and the reason in writing." Don't threaten lawsuits in the moment because it can harden attitudes fast. Act within the appeal window because missing it can cost you months or years. Step 5. Build a local support plan before trouble happens, not after it starts. Research 2 attorneys in your area who handle firearm-related cases responsibly. Save their numbers and ask about consultation fees so you're not shocked later. Consider supporting a rights group that funds challenges because litigation is expensive. Also vote in local races because local prosecutors shape enforcement more than you think. Do this month because your future depends on systems, not luck. Let's review what we covered today because clarity beats fear every time. You learned how courts now judge gun restrictions using early American history. You also learned why some older rules may be challenged, but still enforced today. You heard why permits, sensitive places, and travel rules can get confusing fast. You saw how documentation and calm planning can reduce risk during legal changes. Millions of owners will feel this shift in some way over the next year. You now have information worth thousands, so use it wisely and consistently. Here's the final punch that most people ignore until it's too late. Legal confusion doesn't punish the loudest people. It punishes the careless ones. The system loves paperwork, deadlines, and technical mistakes more than it loves truth. So your best defense is being organized before you're ever questioned. If you do the steps you heard, you'll avoid most traps set by uncertainty, and you'll sleep better knowing you're acting smart, not acting scared. If this helped you, here's what to do next. Subscribe so you catch the next update before rumors spread in your town. Share this with someone you care about because one mistake can wreck a life. Comment your state below because I track patterns and cover state-specific shifts. I read comments and respond when I can, especially when many ask similar questions. Your engagement helps this reach people who don't even know changes are happening. Do those 3 things now, and you'll help build a better informed community. Important disclaimer: this video is educational only, and it's not legal, financial, or safety advice. Every situation differs, and laws vary by state, county, and even specific locations. Consult licensed professionals, including attorneys, before acting on information you hear here. What works for one person may be wrong for your exact facts and local rules. Stay careful, stay informed, and make decisions that protect your future.